Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to the Brand Bite Podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Myers, and I'm super duper excited to be welcoming our guest to the show today. So Amber Swenor helps founders, executives, and their teams step into the power of who they really are and use that identity as a strategic leadership advantage. She is a Wall Street Journal best-selling author of Unleashed, a Been There, Rocked That, Guide to Radical Authenticity, which you guys just wait because the rock that's going to come in. She's a traditional leadership and business coach, professional speaker, and the founder of Soul Seed Strategy, where she supports leaders in aligned brand, culture, and identity through authentic intelligence, her authentic intelligence approach, which we're also going to talk about. But the really freaking exciting thing is that when she is not helping her clients rock their visions into reality, she is rocking the stage as the frontwoman of an award-winning metal band, Morningstar. Now, Amber, when you reached out to me, I was like, we must chat. I don't know if you know, I am a competitive karaoke singer. And so when I heard that you were in a rock band, I was like, this is it. But before we dive into that, I want you to tell everyone kind of how you got into entrepreneurship in the first place. What is your journey and what is your story?
Okay, but promise we have to come back. I need to know what your karaoke songs are. So come back to that one. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the question was my story, entrepreneurship story. Yeah. Okay. So like a lot of your guests, the thread goes back to childhood. And I was always entrepreneurial, didn't really know what that was. Even in early years as a kid, my grandparents loved to go to rummage sales, and I would get things from one rummage sale and then try to resell it for more money at our rummage sale. So, and I think a lot of that was my growing up in the Midwest and really hardworking family, but also like people really had to work for things, right? And there was a lot of struggle involved. And so I think kind of that, a lot of that product of my upbringing and seeing that I wanted to create a life that maybe didn't equate to as much struggle, it put me down a path of being just really open-minded to where are the opportunities to level up, to improve my life. And even in college, I ended up doing a job that was not exciting, but I cold called people on the phone as a telemarketer, but I worked for myself. Like it was strictly a commission job. And I learned that if 99% of people can think that I was a scammer and hang up on me, but I was still a success. Like that really taught me that I could do anything. And so there's a lot of different threads that connect. Prior to starting my business, I worked in television advertising and realized I became really good at having the business conversation. And even though I would be selling television advertising, I could see how all the threads connected. I could see if there was really more of a issue or challenge in their leadership or how like their brand aligned from start to finish. I wasn't just selling ads, I was selling the whole vision. And that springboarded me into starting what is now Soul Seed Strategy. And that's coming up on 11 years. And there was some other, number of other things sprinkled in entrepreneurial wise. Like I did some of the MLMs. I had different little side gigs here and there, but it was a combination of each thread that led to the next. But at the root of it, a lot of it for me was being in control of my own destiny. And my top values are authenticity and what I define as personal freedom, where I need to be able to create for myself. And I know we'll talk about being a musician, and that's part of it. And I just needed to have a path of flexibility where I'm willing to work hard, but I need it to be on my terms. I need it to work with my life, and I need it to work as being a musician.
Yeah, well, I think this is such a common thread, right? Is like this idea of like, look, I know that I can work hard, but I need to be able to set my own parameters about it. Like I'm not a 9-to-5, sit my ass in the chair kind of thing. Like let me build it. You'll get great results, but it's got to be, like you said, on my terms. And something I actually really, really, really have been curious to ask you, I know you talked about it a little bit before we hopped on here, but let's talk about that musician piece and when you decided to bring that into your brand, because it was not always there, correct?
No, yeah. Okay, I love this. It's so, what is that saying? Like we teach from the issue that we had to solve ourselves, right? And from my earliest memories, I always felt that I was meant to be a musician. I just came up with music, I sang, I really connected with rock and even like hip hop beats and metal. And from an early age, it was just like something about that. And so, like, I always knew that I wanted to have a band. And I went to college and finally, I had an opportunity to join a band and start a band, and it was such a huge, important part of who I am. But I really struggled when I started my professional job at the television station. I had this idea that people wouldn't take me seriously, and so there was a while where I call it like my split identity. There was I felt like it was maybe even close to a year before my colleagues even knew that I had a band, before I told them. And then even when I started my brand, which initially was a brand strategy marketing company, now it's leadership development, speaking, and retreats. It's evolved. But even when I started it, I knew that I wanted to work with people more on their authentic expression, but I didn't know how to fully step into that. So my first business name was very practical, Strategic Partners Marketing. And if you saw the website and the logo, it was so forgettable and corporate. And then on the side, I started playing around with this brand called Amber, which was my nickname. And then I gave it different names, and it was a whole additional website that was completely 100% me. And so I thought starting my business, I was stepping into my own thing, and I was on my way there, but it just is not linear, because then it was a repeat of the same patterns of previously, where I had my music friends and I had my professional world. And then in my business, I had here's my front facing business and here's my backdoor business. Like, some people are buying this and some people are buying this. And so it was an evolution over time, but really came out a lot more 2020, 2021, really crystallized when I rebranded my business to Soul Seed Strategy. I renamed it, but really I brand and market a lot around me at this time now. And I released my book in 2022. And so that was a huge step, that journey of writing that, when it is about authenticity. And so it caused me to really, through that writing process, really look at you probably heard this when you talk to people who write books. I would be writing something or teaching something, and it brought up so many opportunities to recognize where I still had some of my own unpacking to do. And then I started doing more keynotes and professional speaking, and now it's all baked in. Like, I bring the singing, I bring my story as a musician, and even though a lot of other people might not be in a metal band, it relates to their own fill in the blank experience of where have you been abandoning yourself? Where are you leaving the best creative parts of yourself outside of the room? Where are you having a split identity when that leads to so many issues, exhaustion, like just mental health challenges? We prevent true connection with others. So, it was an unfolding over time, but I think I've pretty well arrived there. But I hesitate when I say that because we're always learning more things.
Well, it's so funny because I feel like we kind of exist on like paralleled similar paths, because I had a very similar kind of start to my brand where I came into this and I was like, okay, well, I have to show up a certain way to be taken seriously, right? Like, I'm new to this. This is how I need to be showing up. Oh, well, I want to be attracting these kinds of clients, so that's what I need to do. And just like you said, like, I was catching myself so burnt out, hating marketing. Like, guys trying to get me to market when I was existing in this other brand was absolutely awful. And it was actually, oh my God, I'm trying to think of like that real pivotal moment for me. Like, I think I got the pink glasses, which were kind of a start, right? Of like, okay, like, I'm going to do something that's a little bit bolder, a little bit more fun and funky. And then I started comparing branding to dating, and then built a whole bunch of stuff around that, and slowly started to inject more actual personality, which is so funny, right? Because we, just like you said, we tell people, or we teach on these things that are actually oftentimes big kind of pain points for ourselves, right? Like, I'm teaching people, oh yeah, here's how to show up authentically in your brand, and I'm catfishing you bitches. Like,
calling myself out.
Right. And so there's so much work in that. And I just love that you are sharing that story too and how you brought these two things together. And I'm really curious because I know that there are plenty of other people who are experiencing this too, but maybe haven't reached that evolution point that you and I have. What were some of the things that you were feeling in, like as you were approaching it but hadn't reached it yet, that for you were like, "Ah, you know what, like I really, something has to change. Something has to give here because this isn't right."
Oof. Yes. Thank you for that. And feelings are the doorway to recognizing when things are aligned or not aligned. And oof, when I look back, I still have a lot of big feelings, but like it's a whole different reality, right? So it really showed up as getting present to just constant anxiety and going into meetings and having a real connection, but also the pressure that I was putting on myself to just show up a certain way. And really, it was recognizing how much I felt anxiety, constant pressure, overwhelm, just complete exhaustion at the end of days or the end of weeks. And it wasn't like some simple thing where I saw it and then it was answered, but it was just the decision to make some space for myself to start unpacking that. And I had a coach that ended up helping me a lot through that journey. Whether it's therapy or coaching, I think that's important for a lot of people, or like a trusted friend group. And we just started peeling back different belief systems that I had. And the work went deep to really look at that. When, for me, there was a lot of a thread there around money was a big one, because there was a lot of fear around this is working and I know I can get paid for this. And if I peel back the layers and bring more of my true self forward, it may be a bit more niche. And what if then it doesn't align or match for the people who are proven to pay money? And those are very real fears to look at. But it was a personal thing for me where I recognized that it was no longer worth the sacrificing of my happiness to keep myself sort of stuck in that place. And I had to really shift my mindset around what the possibilities could be and just start, stepping into that and start testing it and seeing that actually when I brought more of myself forward, it was really validating when some of my clients would say, "That's why I wanted to work with you." But you can't even get that validation if you don't freaking put yourself out there and try. Yeah.
Well, and something too, because the money thing is massive. I think, and just like I said, I was like, oh, well, I have to show up a certain way because I need them to take me seriously so they'll pay me. And something that I think we oftentimes forget in that is we may be showing up, but what are we paying for, like internally through our energy, when we show up as someone who's not ourselves? Like there is a charge for that.
A massive cost.
Yes.
Yes. Totally agree.
Yeah. And no, go ahead, please.
Well, different people relate to this differently. And I always say, like, it's each of us gets our own unique journey. And I recognize, and it sounds like you're the same, that I was one of those people who was here not to just do business for the sake of getting paid, but business became a doorway for my own spiritual evolution. And I just believed, like, I'm here for something deeper than my business and that's okay. That some people's businesses exist to say, hey, we do a service, we get paid, it provides our life, and that's amazing. I just had to stop fighting against that. I wasn't one of those people, and I am here to do things that are fully in alignment with who I am, and I can't fake it, and I can't do things that are out of alignment. And not everyone identifies with that, and that's okay. But for people who do, if you feel it, I've just found that we can't ignore it and we can't not answer it, because like you said, the cost is too big.
Exactly. And I think, we sit here and think about the like fake it till you make it concept, right? And I think in some arenas, absolutely. Like you've got to really have, I call it the fit-fo attitude, the figure it the fuck out attitude. Like you've got to have that.
I love that.
But at the same time, like you can't fake who you are for the entirety of your business. Like if you want your business brand to be sustainable, you just can't. Like you are going to burn yourself out. And I feel like we see a lot, and I actually, oh my God, I got to be careful because I will get on the soapbox and I will not get off the soapbox. But I feel like we see so much of this being preached in the stereotypical, I'm going to call it like bro marketing and like the girl boss arena and area, where it's like you've got to show up and be this certain thing, follow this exact framework. This is what worked for me, copy this exact funnel. And what we're seeing is like there's so much friction occurring because people aren't feeling like they have the permission to actually inject themselves into it. And then don't even get me started on like the rejection fear, right? It's like, oh, well, if I show up, am I going to be rejected? And now it's tied to the money. Like there's so much in that. And so I'd love for you to really talk about, because I know you brought up this authentic intelligence, and it was something that I'm very curious about. And I know that the listeners are too. And so how does this tie into what we've been talking about and this experience that you had as a brand that we know other businesses are having too?
Yes. I love that you brought this up, the fake it until you make it. And why is the word escaping me? Oh my gosh, it's like the most common phrase that everybody preaches. Alter ego. Alter ego.
Yes.
Okay, alter ego. And I talk about this in my book. And yes, that can work in certain circumstances, and it can be, when you identify something that is aligned with who you authentically are and a step you want to take, it can help to embody the energy of an alter ego to take that step, but you're taking a step that's already aligned. However, to exactly what you said, it becomes a path to burnout and more of I call it the performance of performance. You're performing your life rather than aligning with it. So my authentic intelligence framework, it's designed, so it was created as a way to solve some of my own issues early in business and really get clear on what are my thoughts, feelings, and actions. And then it worked for me. I started using it with clients, and so I put it into a model, and I use it with teams and with individuals. So how it works for individuals, it's a process of unpacking who really are they when they uncover what feels true for them. If we imagine anything's possible, where do they want to take themselves in their life, in their career? What is that transformation that's needed? Because a lot of us, the process of stepping more into authentic intelligence, there's a belief system that needs to transform. Like it's normal, it's natural, it's part of that identity work. And then it's taking the steps that are aligned with who you truly are from a place that's values aligned with your beliefs aligned. And this is when you stand in the brilliance of your authentic intelligence. And I have frameworks within that, like my Think, Feel, Do model and exercises that help people step into it in a way that your nervous system can support so that it becomes the opposite of the intensity of the alter ego and faking it until you make it.
Well, I really appreciate you bring up this nervous system element to it, because you're right. Like anytime you're stepping into a new identity, your body and nervous system is like, yo, we got to protect what's safe. Like we got to keep you safe. Yeah. What's safe is the known, and so you will experience some tug and pull, and then add in that additional layer, especially if we talk about it from like a brand and business perspective of like, now you also like are doing this very publicly in a lot of ways, because you've got a lot more eyes on you than, let's say, just your individual friend group would be, right? Or maybe your family. And so I'm so appreciative that the way that you approach this keeps that in mind. So this isn't a horrifyingly overwhelming experience for people, and can be something that they can actually really breathe into and sit into.
Like how you said that, breathe into. Yeah, and it's amazing how it's come out of my journey of continuing to try things on and trust myself, and also recognizing the importance that a lot of people on this journey want to step into more of who they are, but there's the reality of that the business needs to keep going. And for a lot of people, they're not just looking to throw out their business or abandon their business. For some of them, it's evolving their business. I've helped some clients exit and sell and it's just looking at that from a very practical standpoint. So it's, not an easier said than done. Like we have to be rooted in reality that a lot of people I'm working with, they have businesses, they have clients, they have employees, and looking at what are the paths, because there's different options for them to take this journey to really bring more of their true selves into their journey as a business owner.
Yes. Well, speaking of bringing the true self in, I want you to tell us more about like how being a musician has played into this brand that you have, and like I feel like what's the word I'm looking for? Bonus that it gives you, right? Like the additional personality and freedom and creativity that it gives you, getting to combine something that most people wouldn't even think could be paired with this path, but it does so perfectly.
Thank you. And it is freedom and creativity. And I had to move through a lot with that. So I have this awesome story that goes back 18, 19 years ago. And I tell this now in my book and in my speeches, when I competed in a beauty pageant because I wanted to get scholarship money, but my talent was not a good match. Like I wasn't trained classically like a lot of the other competitors were. So I tried to sing the songs they wanted me to sing, and I just was no good at that style. So for the last pageant ever, before I aged out of it, I came out and sang a classic rock song, one of Pat Benatar's songs, one of my favorite songs.
So you asked, I have to interject because you asked what my karaoke songs are, and Pat B is like my hero.
Yes. Okay, we need to do that together somewhere. Okay, we need to make this happen. Karaoke party. Okay, well, let me just say, I did that on stage at a pageant almost 20 years ago, before it was popular, because in the media a few months ago, I forget what country she's from, somewhere in South America, maybe Miss Venezuela, sang a death metal song at her pageant and won her country, and it went viral. And so I smiled because I said to myself, I was just 18 years before my time. But back then, it was a step I took, and I was so afraid to do it, and I did it, and then never told the story for years. And it's really cool to see this evolution where to now, I share this, and it's, again, so relatable. Even though a lot of people have not done pageants, they're not musicians, it's relatable in the ways that they can see threads for themselves on the times that they honored their true self, and that you gain something from that you can't put a price tag on. And it just has brought greater connection, greater happiness, and I've really done a lot of the work to just stop worrying about who it's not a match for, because honestly, I don't want to feel like I have to kind of vanilla it down if I walk into a space. And so I'm trying to lead with it more so that if people want to work with me, hire me, they know exactly what they're getting. And usually it's because they want their own internal confidence to bring more of their true self forward. And that's what I'm helping them with. And that's the other thing is, we as service providers, we're here to help people accomplish what they're looking for help with. They don't have to relate to everything the same. A lot of my clients, they don't like metal music. They maybe listen to mine to be supportive, but they don't actually like it. But they want to do that in their own way.
Right. Well, I think the thing that a lot of people wait for, right, is that person that can give them permission. I think a lot of people want to experience this and kind of break out of I call it the shoulds of, these different spaces. And so I think it's so good when you are able to step up and show more of yourself and attract those people to you. Number one, you become far more memorable, right? The number of times that I was forgotten in my previous brand, and now they see the jumpsuit, they see it, I got a hat on, but the bald head, and they're like, oh, this is my bitch. Yes, this is it. I remember her. I see her. Yeah, that's it. And I feel I didn't have that same connection with people. And I also, when I showed up, there was so much self-monitoring that I was doing to make sure
a lot of extra brain tax.
Yes. And then you're not showing up as well as a service provider, right? Because you're so busy policing. Am I showing up the way I'm supposed to be showing up? And you don't have to do that as much when you are letting that authentic part of you into your brand. And so again, I really, really appreciate that we're having this conversation and that you're telling people about this.
I just remembered something. Thank you. And from your question, crazy that I almost missed it, about that freedom of bringing my music in. So I wrote my leadership book, and then we wrote a song that goes with the book. And this song is our first song that actually hit the metal charts this last summer and got on some nationwide radio play. And so that again was another step of saying, how do I really fuse and merge? And so I voiced the Audible version, and there's some of the song clips in there. And that merging of identity and creativity, I did it because it was an inspired idea, but also it's making me more memorable, and it's connecting more people to my work from different threads. Some people come in through music, some people come in through business strategy, leadership coaching, speaking, but then they sometimes get cross-pollinated. And so I just remembered that.
So
Yeah.
freaking cool.
The me of
Like,
10 years
what?
ago would have never believed that was possible. I don't know. I would have believed it's possible, but I would have been like, how the hell am I going to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think that all the time, like when we look at where we started, because like we can sit here and we can like say, okay, well, I have this vision, but like the path to getting there, you never know what it's going to actually look like. You never know. And it's so cool when you kind of let free or like put down some of the barriers, that you had constraining yourself in the box, right? To just see what happens. Because I feel like some of the best connections I've made have been since letting myself out of this very rigid, structured box of who I thought I had to be. And I feel like it sounds like this similar case is happening with you. Like these bigger opportunities are opening up because you are showing up as you.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And I can see it so much with my speaking that's picked up. And I have a keynote that's around music making with the audience. And it's this interesting dichotomy because I always wanted to be taken seriously. And I've always been someone who enjoyed doing my hair and my makeup. And I really, when I was younger, got really frustrated when people would only see that. And I felt like I had to prove to them all of my intelligence and hard work. And that was a part of my liberation and journey, was recognizing I have nothing to prove. So it's that balance that so many of us face, and especially women. But now I've really come to a greater place of, I guess, whole self-alignment around it, that I do love to like make myself look a certain way. And I've been getting feedback from people who hire me that is part of the whole package. And so, but I know that they're hiring because they want the transformation. The message needs to be there, but it's now I've more fully embodied the whole package, rather than, I think there was a part of myself that was still judging myself, thinking, well, I don't want them to hire me from the outside. Like I only want them to know the meat and the bones to what I'm doing. And that's true, but also a lot of people are visual, and it's also just part of who I am. I enjoy just sort of, before we got on the call, talked about we were embracing some colors. Like I used to always wear black, and now I'm like, I like my hot pink and I like my sparkly things. And that's just because it's true for me. Other people don't have to do it, but it's what's true for me. And I'm recognizing how actually it is helping me get booked more, but it's not because I'm trying to do it as a gimmick. It's because it's true for me. And that's what gives other people more and more permission to be their true selves. Whether it sparkles or not, it's just about the whole energy that comes with embracing the whole package.
Yes. Well, and I feel like it's the same as, let's say you were going to go on a date, right? Like you want to dress to feel good. Like you want to walk in, you want to feel confident, you put on 15 different outfits and you're trying to feel what feels best. And the same thing happens in the way you dress to show up for your business, and the way, because I'm a brand designer, the way that you dress your business. Like you want to feel confident in that brand too, so that when you put it out to the world, you are, walking in with your swagger, right? Like that's what you want. And so I think that it's like, yes, people are very visual, but the level of confidence, and I feel that's just for myself too, that changed when I started showing more of myself in the brand, and like just the change that makes for people. And I see it in my clients all the time too, of like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even realize that I could feel this good in what we're doing. And so I'm so glad you bring this up. And we talked about, you're right, we talked about the colored lipstick, we talked about the fun. I also used to wear mostly just black, and I've got like a million colorful jumpsuits. Like it's just the fun thing to do, and it feels right and it feels good. And a question that I want to ask you, because maybe there are some listeners here who like, they hear what we're saying and they want to step into that, but maybe there's still some hesitation. Like, what is a small step that you feel like someone can take today that still feels, safe, but to get them a little closer to that authentic intelligence space?
Yes. So It depends on what thing they're working with, but a couple that first come to mind to give them something tangible. And we do this on retreats sometimes, where we'll assign clients to go and pick out some outfits. They don't have to buy them, strictly based on what sings to their heart, what feels good, try them on, and then they send pictures back to us, like during the experience, and to talk about how they felt. And we've had multiple clients who then do make a choice to buy the outfit, have the confidence to wear it somewhere, because they're giving themselves permission to connect with something based on what their heart and their soul feels is true. And so we prime them for that. So anyone listening that feels that maybe it's something about what they're putting on or a visual, connect with, do some meditation, some grounding, some exercise that helps you connect with, if you were to describe how you truly want to show up, what are those words? And then go out shopping and see what aligns for you. But for a different side of an activity that's not based on putting something on, is writing down, how would you describe yourself? Like, what words describe how you hope other people experience you, and then interviewing some of the closest people that you have in your life, friends, colleagues, family, see what words they're using and see, is it a match, not to who you might have been, but a match for who you really feel that you are now. And if there's not a match, sit with that, explore that, and say, right, if you describe yourself a certain way about how you want to be perceived or show up, but others aren't having that experience, don't make yourself wrong. It's not to feel bad, but it's to get curious and say, ooh, if I describe myself as energizing and joyful, and my friends don't describe me as that, what would a joyful person do? How would a joyful person show up to the meeting tomorrow? So those are ways to help bring how you feel on the inside into congruence with how people are experiencing it of you on the outside as well.
Well, something I want us to call back to in what you just said is the now. Like how people are perceiving you now and not necessarily how they used to perceive you. Because the thing that I want to make sure that everyone is taking away from this too is like you are ever evolving. Like you as a person are constantly growing, you're constantly changing. You will have many different identities throughout your lifetime and many different experiences. And I think it's important to remember too that your business brand is also going to experience that. Like the brand that you started with, I mean, you explained this too, how many times and iterations you went through this branding until you...
Girl, I showed you all the logos and websites, and I do have screenshots for this reason to teach from it.
Right, like you go through this. And so where are you now and where are you wanting to go? And I love that you brought that up in these questions because I think it is so important that you don't have to stay attached to who you were, you know, or who you were showing up as. Like if it doesn't feel aligned, you're allowed to shed layers of it. I don't know why, like Shrek and ogres have layers keeps coming to mind lately. Like it has popped up in many conversations lately, but like it's that concept, you know, like there's so much pulling back and discovery that happens in this process. And so thank you for sharing that. And I'm excited to go try some more of these activities. I do want to ask you, because I want to be respectful of our time, and I feel like we could chat forever. So I want to ask you, typically I ask 2 questions, but I'm actually going to ask you 3 questions. The first one is going to be, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Cheating, and I'm giving you 2. I wanted to give you 3, but I'll give you 2. Heartbreaker by Pat Benatar. Fancy by Reba McEntire, which I want to cover as a metal song.
Ooh.
And I gotta... Okay. But also I just need to call out Ronnie James Dio, Rainbow in the Dark is my favorite song.
Okay, hell yeah.
So
hell yeah. So
okay, what's yours? I know you said some Pat Benatar. What else?
Heartbreaker is actually my top one as well. When you listed that, I was like, oh, yes. So I really love doing that one. I Will Survive is also one of my favorites. And then actually in competitive karaoke, one of my favorite performances, I guess there's 2. One was a solo, and I did Welcome to Burlesque by Cher, which was very, very fun.
I need to go look this up. Okay.
Yes. And then I did, because the theme of that week was show tunes. And so that was the one that I did there. And then for our semifinals, a teammate and we did Yeah by Usher.
Oh, heck. I feel like that would be difficult.
It was so fun. We did so much like crowd involvement. They loved it.
Where does this happen?
So,
It's
okay.
competitive karaoke.
Oh my gosh. So this is when I lived in Chicago. So I no longer live in Chicago. But they had a league there, and there are leagues. It's like Second City Karaoke, I think is what it's called. And there's leagues all throughout the
This is
US. It is
awesome.
truly some of the most fun I have ever had. And it is like you get in these teams, there's 3 rounds each time, and then after a certain number of weeks, then you go into like the semifinals and finals, and it's a bracket system based on points that you accumulate over the time. So it is worth checking out. I'm planning on making a YouTube video about like what competitive karaoke taught me about branding. And am going to have a secret playlist somewhere with my uploads of my performances. So whenever that does go
This
up,
is amazing.
I will send you a link so that you can check it out.
Oh, you have to. I'm sharing it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But love it. Well, we again could talk all day. I want to ask you the final 2 questions, which are, yes, number 1, what is something that you absolutely love about your brand?
I love that it has been the catalyst for my continued growth and transformation. As fellow brand people, and I'm a brand strategist, you're always asking those questions of why does the business exist? What do we stand for? What are our values? And because I'm the founder and now my business is back to being me, it has become a vehicle and opportunity for my own growth. And I'm just love that about it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Now, I know that we had some hiccups kind of before we got on here of what this next answer is going to be. But what is something that you would like to change about your brand? And if you can't think of one for the brand, you can talk about the business.
Yeah.
I'll give you an out.
I think a lot of the things come to mind. I don't know if you would classify them as brand. You tell me. Like a lot of creatives, there's no shortage of ideas and content, but it's the consistency of getting things out. And I used to have a larger team, and now we're really lean. So I don't know if that's more of a business model thing, but it's just that, like knowing that there's so much more I want to be able to show up for and to share. And I'm someone who has experiences, and then I turn them into what's the teachable moment, and I just want to be able to get the video and create the content.
I feel like that
it
absolutely
constitutes brand, but that's what it is for me.
We're counting it, folks, because I definitely understand that struggle, especially when things get a little leaner and you are doing a lot more of the pieces. So, oh my gosh. Well, Amber, this has been awesome. Like, you've got to come back on the show. Please also share, like, I want people to know how to contact you, and then please share your band information with everyone too, so they can find you there as well.
Okay, Morning Star. If you look up Morning Star with the song Free, just because there's a bazillion Morning Stars. So Morning Star, all one word, and the word free would be the song that we talked about. Or Morning Star Bittersweet Lullaby is an amazing song, and it's about mental health. And so that's the easiest way to find us. Put the name of the band with the name of the song.
Awesome.
On all the platforms. You can find us anywhere, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all the places.
Hell yeah. And where can people find your business to get in contact with you if they want to learn more?
My name, Amber-Swenor. Amber-Swenor, Swenor. And I'm also everywhere online.
Hell yeah. Well, I'll make sure that I include all of those links in the chat, everyone. I'm going to link to her book as well, so you can check that out. Amber, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was awesome. I cannot wait to listen to your stuff.
This was so great. Fellow karaoke queen. Woohoo. Thank you.